Grab your torches and your 10-foot pole because we are continuing with our random dungeon adventure design using the Tome of Adventure Design by Matt Finch. Let's roll. Hey friends, I'm Brian at Jacoby, and today we're going to continue with Chapter 3 of the Tome of Adventure Design. This chapter is all about dungeons. In earlier episode, we took a look at some overviews and kind of thinking about what is the purpose of the dungeon, stuff like that. What's the background of the dungeon? Why does it exist? Why is it dangerous? Today, we actually start to get into the mapping section, which is usually where I used to do a lot of starting out. I would start out with a dungeon map and then figure out, how do I justify having 16 badgers in room number 6 and 12 skeletons in room number 7, and why aren't they fighting each other? If you didn't see earlier episodes of this series of videos, I'll put a link somewhere around the screen here, and so take a look at those if you like. The link for the Tome of Adventure Design on DriveThruRPG will be in the description box below, as well as a link to Mythmere Games, where you can purchase either the hardcover or a PDF of this book. I think it's a great deal of fun, so I hope you do too. Let's flippy-do the screen around and take a look. All right, here we are in Chapter 3, talking about maps. So this chapter starts out with, or this section of the chapter really, starts out with some ideas about how you might use the random tables that are included for the rest of this chapter, with a note that if you just need some quick inspiration, if you just need to figure out what's around this corner that maybe wasn't spelled out in the written adventure that you're running, or if it's something that you're not sure, you have scribbled something out and maybe there's an area of the dungeon that you hadn't detailed yet. Random tables later on in the chapter, you can roll on those and just kind of come up with something a little bit faster, a little bit more on the fly. We're going to be continuing through what's called the holistic dungeon generation, which is sort of starting from sort of a top level and then working our way into the map. So the way that this is set up, we talk about areas of a dungeon, areas being a group of rooms. Those areas are connected by corridors or tunnels or some sort of traversal that you have to make to get from Area 1 to Area 2. Each area will also have kind of a slightly different theme, and you'll see how that works out as we get into it. So the first part, arranging the areas. Thinking about how your areas connect to each other. So there are a couple of ideas that are included here, as shown in the diagrams, the square section being the sort of entry point or the first area that you're starting to map out, and then how it connects to different areas. The idea being that if you take the leftmost idea here, you have two different paths off your starting area. So those two different paths lead to different rooms, and there are sort of ways that you can sort of circle around and get back to different areas, taking different routes as you explore the dungeon. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to roll up. Actually, what I'll do is I will roll to see. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 different ideas that are mentioned here for arrangements of areas. I'm going to roll and see which one of those areas. I'm just going to take a 10-sided dice. 1 and 2 will be the first, etc. To see which arrangement of rooms or areas we're going to start with. And so I rolled a 2, so the first series of room arrangements is the one that we're going to use, the one with sort of the box with almost like the letter A. And since I'm in Google Docs, I'm going to use the insert drawing feature here. And we're going to create sort of a replication of that image so that we can start laying out what the different areas are. We can label them, stuff like that. So I'll start with a little box down here. Boop. And we'll make some circles. And then we'll draw some lines for transitions. Now I'm going to label each of these. Okay, so rooms are labeled, and now, or areas rather, areas are labeled, and now I'm going to add just some labels for each of the transitions between the areas. And now we have an idea of how our area is going to be mapped, or how our areas will be arranged. But the actual map, it's not just going to be 6 boxes arranged in this way. We're going to roll up on these random tables again to determine how many rooms are in each of the areas. So area 1 could have any number of rooms, not any number, but a limited number of rooms. And then we will roll on another table that tells us the description of the corridor that leads from area 1 to area 2, or area 2 to 3, etc. So up first, I will roll on this table to create transitions for section A, which basically just gives it a little bit more description, like is this a wide hall, is it tall, stuff like that. So I've rolled up that there's a secret door connecting area 1 to area 2. So transition A, there's a secret door that goes through there. Now we get to roll D100 to see if there is a trick added to that transition, and a trick or a hazard. And if there is no trick or hazard, see if there's a more complex thing that might be involved in that transition. And there's no trick or hazard associated with this secret door. So next we move on to what is the corridor like? So behind that secret door, what kind of corridor are we going to encounter? And my rolls have told me that we have a well-excavated 10-foot wide corridor that's 20 feet or higher. And there are several short twists, turns, or zigzags in this corridor leading to area number 2. So once we actually get to the part where we're drawing the map out, we'll make that those transitions make sense. And so to speed through this process, I've rolled up all the rest, and we have transition descriptions for each of the transitions between my areas. Most of them are well excavated. Some of them have doorways and arches. Some of them are long corridors. Some are short, stuff like that. So these random tables basically give you a quick description of what is the corridor, what are some descriptors for the corridor that's connecting these areas. Now we'll move into actually designing each of these areas. But before I do that, let's take a quick look at what these tables are. So we have our basic corridor description. If there's an unusual feature for this corridor, if this is a bridge that we have to cross, if there's an archway or a doorway, distinctive elements, more descriptions of what is this thing. Is it a normal door? What is the door like? Unusual features of doors, unusual shapes, unusual mechanisms that might be included in the door. Waterway connections, teleportation, so lots of different things that could be happening while you're transitioning between these two areas. So now we get into describing the topography of the area that we're creating. Now remember, this is for the series of rooms that we're about to roll up for. So this kind of describes what is this chunk of rooms like, or this general area. What is it like? All right, so after rolling up on the area topography tables, we have mostly excavated with cut stone blocks or fieldstone, brought in for walls and ceilings, flagstone for floors. So a pretty uniform topography throughout the areas of this dungeon. Now we move into the area details, determining how many rooms or chambers are in an area and sort of how they are arranged. And so after rolling on these tables, area 1 is going to have 11 rooms, 2 of which are unusual size. Now I'm going to go through and I'm going to roll for the size of the rooms. So now I've rolled up the 11 rooms that are in this area. All of them were just a normal normal shape of room. There is a chance, of course, that it could be an unusual shape, like instead of a rectangle or a square, it could be an equilateral triangle or a circle or lots of other different shapes. But I just got some boring squares, so that's what we have here. Next up, we have determining what is the arrangement of the rooms in this area. So I'm going to roll up on that and we'll take a look. All right, so what we've come up with is that we have two central rooms that are connected to each other by a corridor. All other rooms enter onto one another off of those two central rooms. So that's a fairly simple map if I'm envisioning it in my head here. All right, so we end up with, in the arrangement of Area 1, we have two central rooms connected to each other by a corridor, and then all of the other rooms are sort of arranged off of those two central rooms. So fairly simple if I'm thinking about it in my head. I'm going to roll up the details of area number 2. Then we're going to hop over to a mapping program and we're going to start laying out these areas. All right, for area number 2, we end up with 3 rooms, 2 of which are an unusual size. And the arrangement is a connecting corridor that forms a square, circle, or rectangle around the rooms, which may or may not be interconnected. So now that we have 2 areas, we have a corridor that connects them, which was the first table that we rolled up on, and a description of each of these areas, the number of rooms, the size of the rooms, how they're intended to be arranged. We're going to hop over to a mapping program. We're going to start mapping this out. All right, so up on my screen here, I have Dungeonscrawl.com, which is a dungeon mapping software that's, I think, owned by Roll20, powered by Roll20. I don't know if that means they're the owners of this program or not, but it's a really good program. I recently discovered it. One of my gaming friends has used it a few times for maps that he created for his game that I was playing in. So I'm giving it a try. All right, so we're going to start mapping this out. And one of the fun things about Dungeon Scrawl is that you can apply sort of an old school game effect to the maps here. So classic TSR adventures, AD&D style stuff, or D&D style stuff, there were very many maps on the inside covers of the modules that were sort of an old school blue. I read somewhere that it had something to do with trying to keep people from photocopying dungeon maps and things like that. I don't know if that's true or not, but it's kind of an interesting idea because old school photocopiers, way back in the olden days, could not photocopy certain colors of blue. So here we go. What do we have? We had 50 by 80, so that is 10 by 16. Hopefully my math is right. 10 by 16. Badonk. So there we go. Now we have a 10 by 16 room. And I'm going to put let's put a 10 by 10 corridor here. And our next, I'm going to keep that open. And the next room that we had is 70 by 80 feet. So let's see, we could probably do this 70 by 80. 16, 14. Okay. So now we have our 2 central rooms. Open that up. And now we're going to create rooms that sort of feed off of these 2 rooms. So if you remember back to our room details, we have 1, 2, 3 rooms that are 20 feet by 30 feet. So I'm going to start with those. And I think what I'm going to do is just arrange them sort of circularly off of this first area. So there we go. Now we have a couple of 20 by 30 rooms, and we can add some doors in here. All right, now I've got some doors. So let's see what's our next series of rooms are 1, 2, 3, 30 by 40 foot rooms. And I think I'll put 2 of them on coming off of this lower section. Add some doors. And we have one more room that is 30 by 40. And I think I'm going to put that one right up here. 30 by 40. And we have one more 30 by 30 room, and I think I will put that one over here. All right, so looking back at our list here, we have our 3 20 by 30 foot rooms are all sorted out. So, where's my strike through? I don't see it, so I'm just going to color this red. We have 3 30 by 40 foot rooms that are included, so I'm going to mark those as red. We have one 30 by 30 room, which is completed. Mark that as red. So now we have 2 20 by 20 foot rooms that have to be accounted for in this series of rooms for area number 1. So I think I will put both of those rooms coming off of the chamber up here. Let's see. I'm going to make them rooms up here near the back. Oops, that's not where I wanted to draw that. And there we go. That is area number 1. We've got it all mapped out. Now, for area number 2, the first thing we want to do, let's pull up our Google Doc here. So we have from area 1 to area number 2, we have transition A. It's a secret door that is 10 feet wide, 20 or more feet high, and there are several short twists, turns, or zigzags. I'm going to make our secret door come out of this hallway transition between the 2 areas. All right, so now we've got some interesting sort of layout for this hallway that leads to area 2. Let's put, I think it's in images. We can find secret door in here somewhere. There we go, secret door. And what I'm going to do is put this big and plop this secret symbol right in there. So now we have a secret door that leads into area 2. And since we also have corridor E that leads from area 1 to area 5, we haven't mapped out area 5 yet, but we can put the transition in at least. Let's add that in right here on the other side of the hallway. So this one is a long, straight hallway. So this will go down, and we can add some text in here to area 5, right? Yes, to area 5. There we go. Now we have some text in here that kind of points down this hallway, indicating it leads to area 5. Once we have area 5 all mapped out or sorted out, then we can actually add the rooms and things like that. But let's go up to area 2 and let's add in the rooms and such for area 2. Okay, area 2. We have 3 rooms, two of which are unusual size. So they're very large. 80 feet by 160 feet for the first one, and 70 feet by 80 feet for the second one. And then we have a smaller rectangular room that is 20 by 40. As we map this out, the idea is that the arrangement that we rolled up is that our hallway, or our corridor, basically circles all three of these rooms. So let's see if we can map that out. All right, so now we have Area 2 mapped out. So Area 2, as I said, we have 3 rooms, 2 larger rooms, 1 smaller room, and a corridor that is intended to encircle them. It connects to Area 1 by a windy path and a secret door. So over here on our map, we have our secret door right down here. We have our windy path, and we have a corridor that goes around the whole area. But instead of having everything on one flat surface, what I decided to do is add some stairs. So coming up the stairs over here, we end up over here, and the hallway extends down and then back down here, basically encircling the entire area. We also have one smaller room that's up here at the top. Oh, and this top section, instead of having one 70 by 80 foot room, what I decided to do is split it into 2 35 by 80 foot rooms that act as sort of a balcony looking down over this larger section. So Area 2 also has to connect to Areas 3 and 4. So if we scroll up here on my Google Doc, we have a connection from Area 2 into 3 and 4. For the connection from Area 2 into Area 3, we have a short corridor that's 10 feet wide, excavated, well-finished crawlway. So I've added in this. Let me hop in here, zoom in. I think we can still see it. Yes, we can still see it on the screen. So I've added in this short corridor down here to Area 3. Area 4, the corridor is, let's see, what does that see? So this is a long curving or turning corridor that is a naturally occurring, sort of like a cavern. So for that, this also says crawlway. I think I'm going to skip the crawlway part. I want this to be navigable by medium-sized creatures. So we need to make a 20-foot wide natural tunnel from Area 2 to Area 3 with some curves in it. So we're going to take a look at how to do that with Dungeonscrawl here. Let's see. Zoom out just a little bit, pan up to here. Now, the way that I like to do this is I go over to my path tool, and I already have this set up. So not erase, but draw. And I want to turn on the rough shapes here. So not that this is a tool for, or a tutorial for using this Dungeonscrawl tool, but this is how we're doing it. So setting my path radius to 70, that equals about 4 squares on my map. And I'm going to turn off snapping so that I can draw some curves as we go, and it's not going to snap to the grid that's set on the page. So I'm going to start out right about here. Let me zoom out just a little bit more and pan down so that we can create a long curving corridor on our map. So draw this up. And lots of curves here, long curving corridor, something like that. Now I release my mouse button and I extend this out, and hopefully you can see on the screen, this is starting to sort of create some wavy, more natural lines, not just straight walls. So get it to waviness that I'm happy with. And there we go. There is our curving cavern, 20 feet wide, stretching up. That'll take us into Area 2. We haven't mapped out Area 2 yet, but I'll do that off screen using the same methods that I used for these first Areas 1 and 2 to generate number of rooms, size of rooms, arrangement of rooms, stuff like that. And then I'll drop it into this map, but I'm not going to worry too much about putting that all together for the purpose of this part of the video. Before I get into mapping the rest of this dungeon area, or this dungeon, mapping out all of the various areas that we're creating, I'm going to quickly burn through the rest of Chapter 3 so that you can get an idea of what's in here. So we have finished with our room arrangements, or at least the review of them. I still have some more rooms to create, but I'll do that off screen. Now we get into some additional tables where we can name an area, which might inspire some additional creativity. So there are a bunch of different tables here. So area names involving water, tombs, another table involving tombs, scholarship or research. So if we wanted to have a research area, or if we have a research area and we wanted to come up with some names for it, we roll on this table. What do we have? 74. We end up with the Predators, 12. The Predator's books. So whenever I see Predator, I just think of the movie Predator. So maybe you have a cool alien hunter, and this is his book archive, his library. So names involving imprisonment, worship, bugs, plants, stuff like that. Now we get into a section, placing landmarks. So basically the idea being that in every dungeon, you should have some landmarks, some like big, either mysterious or notable things that exist here. So I'm going to roll up on here and see what we come up with. All right, so the first random landmark that I came up with is the Mesmerizing White Sanctuary, which is kind of fun. I think just at first glance, I think that's going to be the big main area that we created in Area 2 of the dungeon. I'm going to roll up a couple more just for fun. All right, so for big landmarks, we've come up with the Mesmerizing White Sanctuary, the Slime-Covered Chained Tooth, the Bridge to the Rock Idols, and the Activated Steam-Powered Obelisk. So I think number one is kind of the most interesting for me right now to drop into the dungeon areas that we've created so far. Next, we have landmarks that deal with level changes. I'm not going to add any additional level changes in here. We have one sort of minor level change where I created the balconies over the large room that's in Area 2. But basically the idea here is you don't want to create just one route through your dungeon, and that ends in a stairway going down to the next level. There should be multiple opportunities for moving up and down through your dungeon levels, and it shouldn't just be stairs every time. It should be a chasm, a chute, a cranked platform, things like that. Different ways that add little points of interest for how you move up and down through these levels. Like I said, I'm not going to add any level changes into the dungeon that we're creating today, but here are some ways that you can sort of mix things up a little bit and make it fun. And here we have some tables that help to detail how what are these different level changes? If they are stairs, what's the material? Are they straight up and down? Are they spiral stairs? Whatever else. Next on this list, we have strange things. And I'm going to roll up a couple of these just because it's kind of fun. This is a fun table. There are 2 versions of the strange things table. So I'm going to roll 2 off of our first table and then 2 off of the second. And the 4 strange things that we came up with are the Window of Wagers, the Tree of the Chronicler, the Pearly Musicians, and the Cowardice Wheel. Next are special tables, and I'm going to roll up a couple of these. These are special rooms that basically just have more detail than some of the other rooms. They're not quite as mysterious or not as elaborate as a big landmark or a strange thing. So I'm going to roll up a couple times on here and see what we come up with. All right, so we've got a trick, a trap, furniture, and plants. There are subtables I think, for each one of these. So I'm going to roll up on those and see what we come up with from there. And what we've come up with, the contents of our special rooms, we have a trick, which is a substance, earth. The result of manufacturing substance is a byproduct from another location where the mining, research, manufacturing, or seepage is taking place. This is a dumping area, a channel for the byproducts, or an area the byproduct has accidentally entered. Not sure how I'll use that yet, but again, these are a bunch of random ideas to kind of start stirring creativity and to see how we can put all of these random ideas together into one fun, cohesive adventure. Number 2, we have a complex trap. So it's triggered by greed, so some sort of treasure or something like that. When the party attempts to collect it, some or all of them are immobilized via a transformation type of attack. So stone to flesh, or something like that. That's causing a transformation of the player characters. And then the area fills with some sort of poison or bugs or something like that. That's intended to be the kill mechanism. The way they get out is the kill switch is an illusion. So maybe there's an area of the dungeon or area of the room that they notice provides some escape from this trap. Fourth stage. Fifth stage is a complication, which is a backup kill effect. So there's also going to be a progressive gas that causes attribute checks, and if there are failures, it worsens the conditions of the characters. Number 3, we have a bed with spikes. So that's kind of an interesting, strange occurrence. We'll see how that might play into this. The fourth is plants. So we have ferns that have unusual bark-like covering, and the roots have an unusual odor. So those are the special rooms that we've rolled up. Let's keep going. Up next is dungeon dressing. So in here, this is where if I needed to go into each of my rooms and provide some additional flavor, I could roll up on here, find some dungeon dressing ideas. There are also other books and random tables that you can find in loads of places that have similar dungeon dressings. And so many of these entries also have subtables that we can roll on. So, for example, a subtable here for unusual corpses. What is the unusual corpse? Give it a little bit more detail, make it mysterious. We'll scroll through here. So again, these are lots of different things that could end up in your dungeon dressing. Up next, we have miscellaneous useful tables. So these are tables that sort of help provide some additional detail, some additional ideas for elements in your dungeon or in your game in general. So if I needed to provide the party with a mysterious book, maybe I want to come up with some interesting ideas about, like, what is the material that this book is made of, how many pages, what's the cover like, stuff like that, what's the general condition of the book. I can roll up on these tables to provide some of those additional details. So I'm going to roll up separately on the dungeon dressing and miscellaneous useful items tables as I put more rooms together for this dungeon map. That pretty well sums up the second part of Chapter 3. So now we have worked our way through some ideas for higher level plots. We have worked into kind of an idea of, we're going to create this dungeon setting. What is it about? Why does this dungeon exist? What might we encounter in here? And now we've started working into putting the map together. So again, I'll put together the rest of this map. I'll make it available. It'll be in the video description down below, as well as links to purchase the Tome of Adventure Design from DriveThruRPG, as well as from Mythmere Games. Hopefully, you see the value in these random tables for just coming up with unique new ideas for things. Some of this can be done very quickly, just on the fly. Maybe you just flip through the book, pick a couple things out, slap together an idea for an adventure. Or if you have some prep time, go through the process like I am, roll up a bunch of random stuff, and put it together into an idea, into a cohesive area that's interesting and unique, something that you may not have come up with off the top of your own head. Links to purchase the Tome of Adventure Design are in the video description down below. Hit like, hit subscribe, I appreciate that, I appreciate you, and until next time, roll well, my friends.